Pilots, what's up? It's your product specialist Wesley from here at Motion RC, and I am excited to announce that today we have the all-new twin 64mm F-14 Tomcat available at Motion RC. This is going to be a 6S model powered by one battery. For customers that have had our larger F-14, that one took 2 batteries. But even though it's twin 64, it is not a small jet. So as we get it out of the table, you'll start seeing how big this airplane actually is. It's really cool. It has a lot of the updates and features a lot of guys have asked for on the larger model, just in this smaller format for now. And I'm super excited to start showing it to you. So without further ado, let's get this thing out on the table and start unboxing it and get it going. All right, pilots, now that we have the aircraft out of the box, it's time to go on and slide all the plastic off, and let's just check over the aircraft for any damage that might have happened during shipping. This is your time to find it. If there is no issues, we're gonna start assembling our aircraft together though, right after this. Tech specs for the new 64mm F-14. It has one 9-gram digital plastic servo, 7 9-gram hybrid digital servos, 2 17-gram Metal Gear digital servos, and 2 23-gram Metal Gear digital servos. It's powered by 2 very powerful 2949 2500 kV in-runner motors. The fan size is 64mm and it's 12 blades. The ESCs are 60 amp brushless ESCs with reverse thrust. Overall weight of this model without battery is 2,555 grams. And the recommended flight pack for this model is a 6S 4,000 to 5,000 milliamp LiPo battery. The model also features CNC electric landing gear, a working nose landing gear door, day-bright LEDs, 6-axis gyro, and the new flight control board that handles all the mixing for you. All right, pilots, so it's time to put on our first piece of the F-14. We're gonna start by assembling the horizontal stabilizers. Now they are full flying stabs. For this step, you're gonna need this little guy right here. Hold that up for you. This is a little collet with a 1.5mm Allen head on the top of it. The way this is gonna work, we're gonna take our elevator half, as you see here. The no steps are all printed on the top part of it. On the bottom side, you have this metal part here attached to it with the ball link designed on there. There's a little hole right here. And we're gonna take that and slide it into it. Then, as we slide the elevator half on, we need to make sure that that little guy lines up in there. Now we want to hold the elevator in a neutral position, and we want to line that little guy up right in the middle. That's going to give us the full travel range of that full flying stab. Then we tighten it up. And you shouldn't have very much play in and out, just a little bit. And then the elevator should be able to move freely just like that. Now, let's grab the other side. The other thing you're gonna notice, I am assembling my aircraft on this big moving blanket. I got this thing from U-Haul, and it has been great for assembling aircraft because you can just lay them right on it, and you don't have to worry about dinging or foam or tearing it up. Sometimes these airplanes that have the larger bodies don't fit in a flight stand as great as some of the other ones. So I really find it a lot easier to assemble on something like this. Now we're gonna take that other wing half, or excuse me, elevator half, and just like the other side, we're gonna key it in all the way up. Then we're gonna hold it in its neutral position, or as close to as possible, and screw that locking screw down, just like that. Now, if you want to add a drop of Loctite to those, you can. That is up to you. There you go. That's going to keep that nice and secure. The next step in the process is to put our little ventral fins on. They go towards the front, the taller part, and they key down inside the little slots here, just like that, and then the two screw holes are going to line up. For this next part, we need to use 2 of our PA2 screws. Now, they are all the same in this kit. This is what they look like right here. We're gonna take 2 of these for each side back here on the ventral fins. So the first one, we're gonna just make sure they're lined up as close as possible. And you have to poke them through the sticker and then into the receiving point. Tighten them down. Then we'll get the next one. Then we'll do the same thing on the other side. And there you go. That gets those guys installed on the model. Now let's flip the aircraft over. Careful not to damage anything as we do this. All right, pilots, now that we have our elevator halves installed and our ventral fins on the bottom of the aircraft, it's time to move on to our rudders. You'll see that your rudder leads are taped down on the inside of the aircraft. Go on and pull those up and remove that piece of tape that is holding that down. We won't need that inside of there anymore. Then we're gonna grab our rudder halves, take the little wire out, and we need to color coordinate these, yellow to yellow, red to red, brown to brown. Slide them in, and you'll see there's these little 2 clips on the side. As you slide that in, those little clips will pop around, making sure that that servo can never come unplugged again. Now we're gonna get everything keyed in, and we need to make sure that servo wire lays as flat as possible up in this channel. Do you see this right here? Yeah, there's that little channel. So we're gonna tuck as much of that extra wire up in that channel that we can. Then we're gonna line up our keyholes, and it should just set down in there just like that without taking much effort to push it down. Once we've done that, we're gonna grab 2 more of those same screws, or 3, excuse me. It's 3 of these little guys. One goes right here in the front. And I don't like to snug them up until I get them all in there. That lets them move around just a hair. Then we get one back here. And there should be one on the other side. Now that I'm putting the last screw in, I'm going to go on and snug it all the way down until it touches. Not to over tighten this though. These are plastic and we don't want to over tighten and tear anything up. You can weaken it by fracturing it, putting them in too tight. So just down till they stop, and that ought to be good and tight. Nice. And now we just need to repeat the same step for the other side. Be careful there not to tear up your other rudder while you get your screwdriver in that corner. All right, now it's time to move on to the next step. All right, so for this step of the process, we're going to be installing the wings. I have one on here right now just to kind of show you, but when you go to take this off, it is a 2.5 millimeter screw. You see this machine screw. These are made to go into the model right here. Now the airplane comes with one installed here, here, and here. You will need to remove them out of the aircraft in order to get into this section of the plane. Then the top will just lift off like that, revealing the inside of the aircraft. Now once again, I already have one installed, but I'm going to show you how one goes. You take these little washers right here. There are 2 of them per side. One goes down on the top first, like so. Then the wing half will key in, like so. Then you have another washer on top. Make sure that you get it seated down on top of that bearing. It actually will clip in there right on the top and fit perfectly. Then you have your little plate. Remember, they're the same on both sides, so if you have it upside down, it's just not going to hit the holes, right? But you're going to key that in, and you'll have it where it lines up with all the different holes. You need to do that on both sides. We'll put that one on that side. Then we're going to take the 2 nuts. They look like this. We're going to screw them down on top. You can use a little bit of thread lock if you choose to. Make sure it is blue thread lock, and you don't just glob it in there though, because you don't want it to go down in that bearing. Now I'm only going to put them down finger tight until we get all of our screws in place, then tighten everything up so that I can still move that plate around where I need to. Now we're going to grab one of our screws, and it goes into the back section right here. Then let me grab these little plates. Then we need to line this piece up. You can see it is cut out to actually fit. Same thing on this side. It's cut out to fit just right in there. We're going to take a machine screw on this side. And then on the other side, we're going to take one of our countersunk, because we're going into plastic, and it's going to go in here at the front section. Just like that. Same thing over on the other side. Lastly, we're going to fit in our little reinforcement plates that go on each side like this. So we need 2 of the machine screws. So the black-headed ones, one will go here just until it stops. We're going to snug them all up at the end so they'll move around. One right here. And then another one of those wood screw types go down into the plastic. So like this one goes into the plastic receiving point on the wing. Get that tight, and then retighten these guys. Just like that. Now let's just check to make sure our wings move nice and easy, and they do. All right, so now we can take and tighten up the little nuts on the wings the rest of the way. So our next step is to plug all of our wing wires into the control board. Now, we need to run them through this clip right here. Now, let's go on and actuate them in and out once to make sure that there's nothing causing any resistance. I do not see any resistance. So, we have our control board here that's going to give us all of our different pinouts. So we just simply go aileron. There are 2 ports on the end. We're going to plug one into the first one for this wing. Flap. Our 2 open flap ports. We're going to go on and plug one in to this side right here. And then for lights, we have strobe or taxi. So it is, according to the manual, saying to put it into any of these open ports. So we're going to put it right here, but I may move them over to a different one later after we get it all fired up. You have different options for where to plug your lights in. Same thing on the other side. Before we put our links on, let's go on and double check that our wings can still go in and out without pinching the wires. And they do. Perfect. At this point, really what we need to do next is turn the model on. Let's get a receiver in the aircraft and let's fire up the wing sweep mechanism and make sure it actuates once so we know where center is. At that point, we can put our rods on for the wing. So give me just a moment, guys. I'll be back with you in a second after I get a receiver installed in the aircraft. All right, pilots, at this point, it is time for us to actually start setting up the wing sweep mechanism and all of our other control surfaces. I've gone on ahead and installed an 8-channel receiver down in the aircraft. Now, if you want to take full advantage of all the features, you're going to need at least 9 channels. So I have opted out of using reverse thrust for right now because I only have an 8-channel receiver in here. You can do the same, you just leave that one that says reverse unplugged. I did put my wing sweep into aux 3, so channel 8. Channel 7 I have set up on a 3-position switch, so you need -100, 0, and +100. That will give you all 3 settings of the gyro, stabilization, self-leveling, and off. And then the other channels are just like any other aircraft, flaps, ailerons, elevator, everything. So let's power up the model now that we have that done, and I'll show you kind of what we've been going through here. So I've left this wing unhooked right now, just like you're going to have yours, but I have already gone on ahead and set up this side. And so we can see what we're trying to do. You have this bar that's going to go out to the wing panel. You need to also make sure when you set this up, your wing is all the way in the out position. Then when you flip the switch, you can see it comes in and it's going to be right down this line. And you want to make sure that it's not covering your elevator halves when the wing is back. But when the wing is back, if it's overdriven, you could potentially have that touching it. You want it to where it comes back and stops at the stop. And there'll be a little crack here. Same thing when it's all the way out. It's still going to be just a hair over it here, but the flap will clear it, no problem. Now, the first setting you need to do in your radio, push your wings out, like we have it here, and you need to set up your flaps. You have to have that -100 set up with the flaps all the way up before the wings will actuate. And I will show you what I mean now. If I put the flaps down and I flip the wing switch, the wings will not sweep. It is automatically done in the controller board to keep them from coming in and damaging the flaps. Now, if you were to flip it and then put the flaps up, it will automatically come in then. Same thing when the wings are swept. If you flip the flaps, I've got my flaps all the way down right now. They will not actuate until I put the wings back out, and then they will actuate. This keeps you from damaging the model. Now that we know that all of that is working correctly, it is time to put our rods on. So, there are 2 long rods in the kit. As you can see, I've already put one on over here. Now we need to put the one on this side. So we should be in the complete wings out position right now. If I hold it over, we need to adjust it in just a little bit. We need to make sure both wings end up in the same place. Click it down. Hold your tongue just right to pop the ball link on. I think my ball link needs to turn over. Sometimes a ball link will only go on one direction also. Just like that. And just like that. There we go. Now we can do a quick wing sweep check. All the way down. The wing hasn't bottomed out. There's a little bit of play in it. That's okay. It's not going to hurt anything. Then we can put the wings back out. Check those again. And they're looking good. And that gets our wing sweep mechanism all installed in the aircraft. So once again, now that we have it here, if I put the flaps down, then flip the wing sweep, it's disabled. It's not going to let it actually do it. Now the second I pull the flaps up, the wings will sweep. Same thing if I tried to put the flaps down now, they will not come down unless I unsweep the wings, then they will automatically do it. Cool? Next thing to do that we've got all that buttoned up is get the top put back on the aircraft. It's as simple as just sliding it over the top and then putting in the 6 screws to cover that top back on. So I'm going to do that now. It's these little black guys. They are 2.5 millimeters. Oh yeah. And we're going to get those all screwed in now. All right, let's give it one last check now that we have all this on to make sure nothing's binding anywhere. Very clean. Nice. All right, let's pick the model up and check our landing gear at this point. There we go. Let's get the gear out. Perfect. Now let's go on and slide the top on because we need to flip the model over so we can install our elevator linkages at this point. Once again, I really like building on this carpet because I can set the model right on there without hurting anything to do this next step. Now we need to set our elevator position where it's going to actually end up being. It is 22 millimeters from the top down to that point. So I'm going to get something to make a mark with. In this case, I'm going to just use this. And from the top down to the tip, let's see, should be 22 millimeters. Right there is 22. I'm going to make me a little indent right there. That way I know where to set it to. I just made a little dent right there where that tip's going to be. As you can see, right there, the little indent. Now, they've cut off the elevator horn, so no worries here. But we're going to take that into there, and we can go on and put this arm on beforehand. So it goes in like this. So there we go. So now you can see my little retainer clip is on and clipped. It is not clipped all the way though. There we go. Now we need to adjust our elevator. So, as you can see, it's way off. It needs to go in to about here. So we're gonna screw it in about 5 turns. See how that looks. On the chilies. Now, I think these only go on one direction. Should really be out. There we go. Now you can see we're right on the dot. And it's working beautifully. Now we just need to do the exact same thing on the other side. Right on the money. I'm going to click it on, and then I'm going to look at it from the aft section of the aircraft and make sure they're actually lined up together. So when we look at it from the tail, you should see that they're both perfectly in line, and as we move the stick, they should move together. And I've flipped it into recovery mode just to see, and it will be trying to turn it over. There you go though. There is your elevators working correctly. And they also work as elevons. So you will get your elevator and your ailerons all in the same channel. All right, since we have the aircraft upside down right now, it's a good time to put our ordnance that go at the bottom on also. These little missiles come attached. You just need to pop them forward and off. Then we're gonna take both of those rails and set them on the aircraft just like this. Pointy side towards the front. Then we're gonna grab some of our 2mm screws like these. And we're gonna screw these missile pods onto the aircraft. Pylons, however you'd like to call them, until they tighten up. Now to attach the ordnance, we simply have to just set them on there into their keyholes, possibly, and slide it back. Just like that. To get those on. So when you look at the missile pods for the wings, there's a cutout at one side. That's where the wheels are actually gonna go. So if you'll line that up with the wheel well, that's exactly where it goes. Then we need to grab our 2 screws. And I like to get it started but not snugged up until I get them both in there. Just to make that a little easier to wiggle it around and get it to find the hole. All right, now that we have it all the way down, we can snug it up. Cool. And then there is the larger missile goes at the top, and the smaller Sidewinder style missile goes on the side. Just like that. Now we just got to do it for the other side. So for this portion, we're going to be putting the nose cone on. We also have the little camera thing that's kind of famous on the F-14 that kind of just keys in right there. This is one of the only pieces you're going to glue on this model, or all these little bits and bobs. So let's open that up. The first one we need to glue on is this little guy right here on the end of the nose. Actually, I think it's going to be tight enough. Oh, it pushed in there real tight. I don't think that'll ever blow off. If you wanted to glue this, you could, but it's pretty in there. Then we can key the nose in, like so. Then this piece right here, you could just pressure fit it, but I think I'm gonna go on and give it just a drop of glue. Let's take a little bit of this glue. Not a structural part by any means, so it doesn't need to be a ton of glue. Just get that on there like that. So on one side of the fuselage, we're gonna go down the line and glue all these pieces in. I highly recommend you do the same thing I did here and just go on and test fit them first, figure out where everything goes, and then get the glue out. So there's this little pointy thing, goes up here on the nose. I'll give it just a little drop of glue, and then put it in the hole. Then there's like another pitot tube right here. Just gonna give it a little glue. And stick her in. Careful not to get glue everywhere as you're doing it. Then we have this little thing right here. I'm sure somebody will know the technical term down in the comment section. I do not. Then on the other side, there's like a handle looking thing. Then we have another type of pitot tube, pitot. Goes right in like that. And then we have another one up here on the nose. Goes in there just like that. Right here, behind the canopy, there's this little guy right here. Test fit him in before we glue. There we go. And then the final piece of this, right behind that black one, there's a little gray one right there. And once again, just give her a little drop of glue and push it in there. Trying not to smear it everywhere. Sweet. All right, pilots, that gets the assembly of the new 64mm Freewing F-14 Tomcat all finished up. Very cool model. I know a lot of guys are gonna be super happy to see this one. The only thing I haven't done yet is set up rates and expo. They're all called out in your manual though, so definitely check that out. We can show you now that the wings do sweep. Very cool. We also have our elevons working together, our flaps. I will put these on probably a 2-second slowdown. Really cool to see that they upgraded those aluminum suspension landing gear on this one to where they're twist and turns, just to give it that little more scale look. They're also hidden behind those missile pylons now, whereas on the larger one you could see them kind of hanging down underneath it. So it just kind of cleans up the bottom of the aircraft a little bit having that on there. Nice scale landing gear doors up in the front. You have lights all over the aircraft, which is something I know a lot of guys like, the day bright LEDs, so you can easily see this model. A very nice cockpit detailing up in the aircraft, and I love the paint job. You know, everybody always repainted their big ones into the Jolly Rogers, so it's nice to see that it's just the stock paint job for our new version of the aircraft. Very cool, and once again, it is covered in decals. So anybody that's ever put a ton of decals on an airplane before will know how much of a pain that is, and not having to do it, how much time that helps. So you've got the nose steps all over the aircraft. You have the stars and bars. Even the pilots' names are up on the front. You got Bags and Crash are the two guys flying this thing. Kind of an interesting name. A lot of really good features on this model, and it's cool that now with the Freewing board that's installed, all the mixing is handled for you right out of the box. You don't have to worry about any of that. It's got a pre-tuned gyro that's already set up to make this aircraft fly fantastic with the wings out and with the wings closed, which is something I know a lot of guys are gonna be really happy to see. You just need to plug in any standard 9-channel or greater receiver in order to use all functions of this aircraft. Once again, if you're willing not to use the reverse thrust feature, you can get away with an 8-channel receiver. I do highly recommend you have that gyro plugged into a port though, and opt out of the thrust reversing if you're going to opt out of one of the channels. I like having that ability to turn it off, turn it on, or have that recovery mode at the flick of a switch. Pilots, it's super exciting to see this one come out. I know a lot of you guys are going to be excited to see this one also. Make sure you follow us over on Facebook, Instagram, everywhere you can. You can ask us questions. You can see more about this model there. And as always, whether it's land, sea, or air, Motion RC has everything you want, guys. We'll see you in the next video.